Good morning. 1 week ago, we opened applications for the Ontario Small Business Support Grant. Today, we are here to provide a brief update and once again urge small business owners to apply at ontario.ca/COVID support. The difficult but necessary public health measures that are in place have real consequences on small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy and part of the identity of our communities. And that's why, to navigate this challenging period, we are providing support to employers, workers, and families as we continue to navigate this very challenging period. Small business owners who needed to close or significantly restrict their services during the shutdown can visit ontario.ca/COVID support to learn about what support is available to them and apply today. Every eligible business will receive at least $10,000 and up to a maximum of $20,000 to help cover decreased revenue during the shutdown. Business owners can spend these funds however makes the most sense for their individual business needs. Some businesses will need support paying employee wages or rent, while others will need support maintaining their inventory. Based on the incredible number of applications already received for the Ontario Small Business Support Grant, it's clear just how critical this support is to Ontario's small businesses. Minister Fedeli will have more to say about that in a moment. I urge all business owners to apply for this new grant, as well as personal protective equipment grants and property tax and energy costs rebates today. It's all on our single, simple, easy-to-use portal for all these supports. Again, you can learn more at ontario.ca/COVID support. As well, there are other supports available from the federal government. Our message to small business owners is this, and to the people of Ontario, and it's simple. As COVID-19 continues to create challenges, our government will continue to be there to support you. Notre message aux propriétaires d'une petite entreprise et à la population de l'Ontario est simple. La COVID-19 continue de créer des défis, mais notre gouvernement est toujours là pour vous offrir du soutien. The health and safety of everyone throughout the province is our priority. But the health and security of our small businesses cannot be taken for granted. And now I'd like to just quickly say a few words before I pass it over to Vic Fedeli. I want to thank Prabmeet Sarkaria behind me for the work he's done, Vic Fedeli, who you're about to hear from, as well as Lisa Thompson, who's done an incredible job on creating that portal as our Minister of Government and Consumer Services. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Vic Fedeli, our Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Bethlenfalvy, and for your work on this really important file, because small businesses bring value to their communities. That understanding is shared across our government, and it is why we're committed to helping them throughout this long, hard road to recovery. This pandemic has been an extraordinary time. The people of Ontario and the small business community have continued to step up and demonstrate the best of Ontario spirit to help us in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. Our government, led by Premier Doug Ford, created the Ontario Small Business Support Grant to provide small businesses with a critical injection of funds they can use to meet urgent needs. This grant of up to $20,000 provides a much-needed hand up for the province's small business that have been weighed down by the economic effects of COVID-19. We're delighted to announce that it's having a huge impact. Already, over 42,000 businesses have applied for these grants at ontario.ca/COVID support. We understand the urgency of these funds for small businesses, and we're focused on ensuring that the process from application to cash in hand is secure, seamless, and without delay. And through another site, ontario.ca/small business, we're connecting them with additional resources that offer digital support, PPE grants, financial planning, and personalized advice. As they have in the past, small businesses will continue to play an important role in our province. With this support, they'll help power Ontario's recovery for a brighter future for all of us. Thank you, and over to Minister Sarkaria.
Thank you very much, Minister Fedeli, and I just want to take an opportunity to thank Minister Bethlenfalvy, Fedeli, and Thompson for all their great work in putting this program together and getting supports to much-needed small businesses. You know, as the small business minister and red tape reduction, I'm determined to stand with our small businesses through the second wave of this pandemic. COVID-19 continues to threaten the social and economic fabric of the communities we cherish. Woven through these communities are the small businesses where we work, shop, bond, and make memories. Small businesses have shouldered an incredible burden of COVID-19's economic impact, risking their families' livelihood to keep communities safe. We want them to know that they don't have to carry this burden alone. The Ontario Small Business Support Grant has been designed to help bridge the gap while we fight this pandemic together. It will provide up to $20,000 they can access within weeks and use in whatever way makes sense to their business. Whether it's funds to maintain inventory, invest in new technology, or some extra help to cover wages, we want small businesses across the province to put this support to work for them. Small businesses can apply for this grant and others, such as a PPE grant for up to $1,000 to help with protective equipment, and rebates to cover property taxes and energy costs at ontario.ca/COVID support. Regardless of your unique needs, I'm encouraging our hardworking small businesses out there to follow these 3 pieces of advice. Apply, apply, apply. Applying is easy and it's fast, and we've released a quick video to show you how. I'd also like to remind all small business owners to visit ontario.ca/smallbusiness to access our one-window portal for small business supports. Whether you are struggling with paying the bills, getting your business online, or have employees struggling with mental health, resources are here for you. And whether your small business employs a couple of close family members or dozens of people from all across the community, it matters to our government and to our province. We are all in this together. So support local and stay safe, Ontario. Better days for small businesses are ahead. Thank you.
We'll now take some questions. Just a reminder, it's 1 question, 1 follow-up. We'll start with the first question from the floor and then move over to the teleconference line.
Good morning, Minister. Thank you for taking my question. This question comes from Cynthia Mulligan, who had to be on another conference call. You recently acquired the position of being the Minister of Finance. The budget's due next few months. How much deviation are you going to take from the previous Minister of Finance's budget, and with the shifting grounds that COVID has provided or is causing in finances, how much difference is your budget going to be?
Well, thank you for the question, Jamie, and thank you to Cynthia. You know, we tabled the budget in November. It included $45 billion of supports to protect, support, and recover in our economy, and support the people of Ontario and the jobs, and protect lives. So we're going to continue that. You know, our number 1 priority is to protect lives. And I've said this before, using the fiscal firepower that we have to invest in our healthcare system, to support frontline workers, to give people, the personal support workers and others, the tools they need to do their job. But the job is not yet done. Clearly, vaccines will have a huge impact on how we get through this. And the good news so far is we're getting vaccines into the arms under the leadership of General Rick Hillier. We're vaccinating the long-term care residents, vaccinating frontline healthcare workers, caregivers, people in the north, and so on, so that we can continue that. But clearly that's a challenge for us, given that next week we are going to receive 0 Pfizer vaccines. And as you know, the Premier has called the CEO of Pfizer. We got to do all that it takes. So we'll continue in terms of the budget that we're working very hard on. We'll continue the great work of on behalf of the almost 15 million people of Ontario.
The next question is, cities, whether they're the size of Toronto or whether they're a smaller city as like Port Dover or a small city, they're all running into financial challenges. There's legislation that does not allow them to have a deficit. Can they expect help so they don't have to decrease service massively, or is there the other option is being able to run a deficit for the given years?
Well, thank you again for that question. You know, I'll remind everyone that we provided unprecedented support for municipalities, $2 billion for municipalities, $2 billion for transit, numerous investments in shelters and within various unique circumstances within the province. For example, just yesterday, the Premier was out in Oshawa in Durham, my riding of Pickering Uxbridge, just east of Toronto, to announce a new isolation center, kind of converting a Holiday Inn into a isolation center, which means that if we want to encourage people to get tested, and if you can't isolate, you have family or others you put at risk, you can go to the isolation center. And so we're very proud to work with the municipalities, to work with the federal government on making sure that we have the supports, including our municipalities. And I know the Premier's constantly in touch with all the mayors across the province, including Dan Carter yesterday in Oshawa, and I am too, and we'll continue that dialogue and work together, including today having the Minister of Finance's national call with Chrystia Freeland later today.
We'll go to the phone line now for questions.
First question comes from Ashley Legasic at News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for taking my question. Finance Minister, if this lockdown continues past the 28 days, are you able to commit right now to implementing more funding directed towards small businesses?
What I can say, well, thank you, Ashley, for the question. You know, this program is just one of many programs that we've launched. The small business program will help a number of small businesses, and in the first day on Friday last week, some 10,000 applications, thanks to Lisa Thompson's team at the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services, along with Vic Fedeli and Prabmeet Sarkaria, were able to process in the first day 10,000 applications. And by the way, we hope to get the money in the hands of those businesses that successfully applied on Friday within days from now. So the turnaround time is unprecedented, light speed for government, I would say. You know, the property tax, we're committed to paying the property tax. That continues for those businesses affected by the lockdown. As was mentioned earlier, the electricity and the gas, the personal protective equipment. You can apply for a grant up to $1,000 for businesses that have 2 to 9 employees. And I would also encourage working with the federal government. There's a number of programs, so one for rent subsidy, one for wage and salary. So what the people of Canada, the people of Ontario want us to continue to do, and we have been doing, is work at all levels of government, whether it's municipalities, provincial or federal, to support the lives of the individuals in Ontario as well as the livelihoods and the businesses of Ontario.
Follow up.
Thank you very much. And I understand businesses can spend this money however they see fit to help them out. But is there specific money that will be given to businesses to help them afford rapid tests whenever they are allowed to reopen?
Well, again, a great question, and yeah, this can go to rapid testing, and you know, the amount of supports that we've given financially as well to help them, as I just said, on a range of costs. This is to help offset revenue losses. Will all go to helping businesses. It's the difference often for a lot of businesses between sinking and swimming. So we'll continue to look at ways that we can support those small businesses, because they really are the backbone of our economy. So many of our employees and employers are small businesses under 500 employees. It's the backbone of Ontario's economy, more so than any other province. And more than that, you know, everyone's got a local store. Living in our communities, it's the identity of our communities. And I can say right across Ontario, what's been terrific is how many people, I've seen it day in, day out. I've given out scrolls to businesses that opened in the last 12 months in Uxbridge and Pickering, restaurants, coffee shops, you name it, and they tell me, you know, this is tough. They may not survive. So we're providing financial support, the federal government's providing support, and local communities are providing support by buying locally.
Next question.
Next question comes from Sean Jeffords at the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Minister Bethlenfalvy. Question for you today about PSW pay in long-term care. You are with this new job fully in charge of Ontario's finances, and I'm wondering if it's in your plan for the budget to make the temporary pay raise that PSWs were given by this government permanent, and if not, why not?
Well, thank you, Sean, for the question. You know, as you know, we rolled out in the first wave of the crisis pandemic pay to a broad range of employees, $4 an hour for a period of time from April to August. We continued that for personal support workers, an additional, or thereafter since October, $3 per hour. You know, I can tell you that looking at how hard every frontline healthcare worker works, supporting the workers who day in, day out put their patients first, put everyone else first. And we all know a personal support worker. We all know a nurse. We all know someone who may not get the headlines that supports our families and supports our people in our hospitals and our long-term care facilities. So as part of the budget process, I'll be listening and, of course, hearing from people right across the province. And one thing I will commit to, Sean, before the budget is making sure that the priorities of keeping people safe and supporting people and families and workers and the hardworking people, employers of this province going is what my objective is.
Next question.
Minister, if you don't mind if I follow up here before you move on
Sorry,
to the next
Sean.
question.
Follow up.
I wanted to also ask you about paid sick days. The government has seemed very resistant to implementing a paid sick day program to help workers stay home if they have COVID-19 or are showing symptoms. The Premier suggested that this is a federal program. The province doesn't have any place for that. If this is a federal program, but it's not working, isn't it incumbent on the province to step up and try to fill the gap here in this situation on an urgent basis? And if it's not doing that, why not?
I think the question is really there is a federal program. I've had conversations with Chrystia Freeland on this. I know the premiers have raised that as well. It's a program that will give up to 2 weeks, 10 days of sick paid leave. We want to encourage people to get tested, to take the test, and if they test positive, go to our isolation centers. The one I just mentioned in Oshawa, we've got them right across the hot zones and beyond. I would also say this, you know, what's important is the money get into the hands of the workers who apply for that money. Right now, it takes a fair bit of time to get that money into those who've applied successfully for those funds. $500 per week, so for 2 weeks, $1,000, 10 sick paid days. So we're working with our federal counterparts. I know the Minister of Labour, Monty McNaughton, is also having a lot of conversations with the Prime Minister's office and others within Ottawa. And I think this is another example of where we can work together and maybe provide help to the federal government to look at that program, make sure it gets into the needy hands of people who benefit from it.
Okay, now we'll go to the next question.
Next question comes from Richard Southern at 680 News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Good morning. The province has found itself in quite the financial hole because of the virus. The Premier has repeatedly said that, you know, when it comes to climbing out of that hole, that he doesn't favor new taxes. Are you able to say today whether this budget that you're preparing, will it contain any new taxes, sir?
Well, you know, I'm not going to foreshadow the budget in any way, but what I will say this is that historically the party I'm part of doesn't look first to increase taxes. In fact, pre-COVID, we've lowered a number of taxes for small businesses, specifically given that we're talking about small businesses today. we lowered the small business tax by 8%. We believe in the economy. We want to support the economy, the job creators. We're going to come out of this pandemic stronger. Another area that we're provided relief is on the time of use, electricity for small businesses, for farmers, for individuals. So we'll look. As we consult on the budget, there's a bunch of things we'll look at, but historically that's not what we've done.
Follow up.
Measures are you looking at, sir, to try and get that deficit under control?
There's long term, the budget deficits are neither sustainable or desirable. I'm well aware of that. But right now, we're focused on making sure that we protect lives and do, as the finance minister and president of the Treasury Board, make sure that we do what it takes to keep people safe. And there's some of the most important work we'll ever do. So that's our priority. And right now, getting the vaccines and doing the testing as we do. And I would just say to people, again, stay home. That way you can stay safe and keep people alive, and that makes individual responsibility makes a massive difference. Taking that responsibility, each and every one of us across this province, that's how we'll beat this virus.
Next question.
Next question comes from Madison Erhard at CTV Barrie. Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I'm just wondering how you're going to level the playing field for businesses. For example, the home hardware in Parry Sound and Gravenhurst, they seem to be finding little loopholes to stay open, and how this is impacting the smaller businesses who are kind of forced to do curbside pickup only.
Well, I'm going to pass that question over to Vic Fedeli and maybe Prab to comment on, but again, I just want to highlight that we're here to support small businesses. As I said, the first day, 7 applications a minute were processed. Since then, I think we're up to almost 40,000 or maybe beyond 40,000 applications. So it's working right across the province. And as Prabmeet, our Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction, mentioned, there's a lot of other programs available to support those businesses. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Vic Fedeli.
Thanks very much, Peter. We continue to take all of our advice from the Chief Medical Officer of Health, and we weigh these decisions at Cabinet, and we know that we have struck the right balance. Between the Premier's message of stay home, stay safe, and stay lives, but still allow the necessities. We have the opportunity for groceries, for pharmaceuticals, and there are always essentials that you do need, whether it's cleaning products to help with COVID-19. So we've struck the right balance between allowing curbside and allowing for stores to be open for groceries and pharmaceuticals as well.
Follow up.
Yeah, Minister, I'm just wondering, what would your message be then to these other businesses who do feel a little slighted about having to just do curbside pickup?
Well, this is, thank you very much for the question. This is exactly why there's a business support program put in place for exactly those businesses and those businesses only who've been either directly affected or significantly reduced in their business, as the finance minister said a minute ago. This is up to $20,000 for those businesses, not the ones that are able to stay open. This is having your property taxes rebated for every day that you are in either a lockdown or significantly reduced. Having your electricity bill rebated for every day that you're reduced, such as having to go curbside, or a restaurant having to go delivery or curbside, such as having your energy bills, whether it's natural gas or propane or other, rebated to you. These are all the programs that are put in place for those businesses only that are part of this reduction.
Next question.
Next question comes from Josh O'Kane at the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. Minister Fedeli, we're now 1 month into the announcement of this small business support grant. Back when it was originally announced, Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses' Dan Kelly called them a drop in the ocean of despair. Since that 1 month has elapsed, we're talking 1 month of rent in Toronto that could be $50,000, which will not be much more than 65% covered by federal grants, and there are additional costs, and all of these are adding up. We're looking at 1 to several months, if not more, of lockdowns for these small businesses. You did not directly answer the question when one of my colleagues asked this earlier, so I will ask it point blank. Giving all of that context, will you be extending, or will you consider extending the small business support grant given the next few months that we're looking at?
Well, I know that we are waiting for the 28 days, so we'll continue to take the advice of the Chief Medical Officer of Health and see where we are in those 28 days. But as the Minister outlined, we opened the portal on Friday last week. We've had more than 42,000 businesses already apply. The money is intended to be out the door very quickly. In fact, 8,900 are ready to be approved, and about 100 million will go out the door in the next day. These are supports that are in addition to having your energy bill rebated, your electricity bill rebated, your taxes for every day that you're reduced rebated. You have $1,000 if you're 2 to 9 employees. You have a $1,000 PPE grant that you can access. This is up to $20,000. You've got up to 95% of rent, up to 75% of your employees. We've reduced the employee health tax for tens of thousands of businesses, in fact, eliminated it for most small businesses. We've reduced their energy rates down to 8.5 cents. This is a huge suite of supports. So when you look at it cumulatively, now you've got a real package. You've given the small business community that extra supports that they need to get them to become part of our recovery.
Follow up?
Yes, and to follow that up, again, all of those things, many of those other programs that you just described have monthly or 4-week-long repeating redemption periods, as well as certain programs such as the rent program. You described it as up to 95%. A very small number of businesses are actually eligible for that full rent rebate. Really, again, if you look at the fact that 42,000 have applied, there appears to be significant demand. As a month elapses, which again has happened since this program was first announced, you're going to find greater demand. Because of this demand, would you consider extending the program?
Well, maybe I'll comment on that as well. I mean, as the Minister of Economic Development said, this is very encouraging. We've heard from a lot of small businesses. This is the difference between sinking and swimming, so that's good. I did speak with Dan Kelly before we launched the program to get input. They've helped put this out to their members. We'll continue to have dialogue because our job is not done. To your point, 42,000 is great that Vic just mentioned, but we encourage people to continue to apply. We'll see where we go with the public health direction in this province. As I said before, every individual has to take responsibility across this province to bring those numbers down. And this government, the Premier Ford, has worked 24/7. You see him virtually out there every day. We're collectively, the caucus and all of us, and across the aisle, across party lines, not just here in Ontario, but federally, we're going to continue to work together. But let me tell you this, we're going to beat this virus, and Ontario is going to have a stronger economy when we come out of this.
Now we'll take the final question.
Last question comes from Antonella Artuso at the Toronto Sun. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Minister Bethlenfalvy, you mentioned that you believe that the Ontario economy would come out of the pandemic stronger, and I'm wondering what you're basing that on, given that you've shut down a large swath of the economy for probably over a year, and that governments have taken on historic levels of debt.
Well, thank you, Antonella, for that question. We're not alone in this world suffering from the COVID-19 virus. But why do I say that I have hope? If you look at the resilience of the people of Ontario, I think the Ontario spirit has been so strong. When the call from the Premier went to manufacturers to retool, and Minister Fedeli gave them a grant program through the Ontario Together Fund, the Ontario businesses retooled, whether it was hand sanitizers or gowns, and the list goes on, of personal protective equipment. That's the Ontario spirit. When you look at things like the Ford plant in Oakville, announcing that 5 new lines, along with provincial support, along with the federal government, putting money in, encouraging Ford to invest in that plant, that gives me hope. The announcement last week that General Motors is going to invest in the Ingersoll plant and create the truck, the FedEx type truck investment, electric vehicle, is coming to Ontario. When you look across this great province, I think that the ingenuity, the innovation, and the resilience of the people of Ontario is there. What else gives me hope is the minister standing right behind me, Prabmeet Sarkaria, who's been focused on reducing red tape and making it easier for business safely and securely to invest in this province. I think about the hard work that Vic Fedeli has been doing day in, day out. I talked to Vic a lot, and we talked yesterday about another investment that's coming to Ontario. That gives me hope. And I know, my parents came here from refugees from World War II and immigrants to this great country. And this, I just believe very strongly, not just in Ontario, but in this country. And I finally will say, that's a lot of my heart. My head will also say that, look at some of the economic forecasts that the Bank of Canada came out with yesterday and other places. People are saving, they're ready to spend, but we need to beat this pandemic first. We need those vaccines. Bottom line is, we need those vaccines, and as soon as they hit our land here in Ontario, we'll get them into people's arms.
And final follow-up.
What is your response to the anger that so many small business owners are expressing towards your government, especially given your choice to keep the big box open, and now that your government has revealed that almost 1/3 of them have not been following all the COVID public health measures? You must have heard this message. What is your response to these small business owners that feel your government failed them?
Well, I certainly understand how many small businesses feel. I've had numerous town halls in not only my riding of Pickering-Uxbridge, got so many small businesses. They're part of our community, they're part of the identity of our community. But I've had conversations right across the province. And what I would say is that's why we launched this small business grant program. And I think that is why we're getting such a big response to that program. And that, I think, is why many are coming to the website, again, ontario.ca/COVID support. It's really simple and easy to use. I'm going to again give a big shout out to Lisa Thompson and her team over at the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services. Putting a portal together, many have told me it takes 15 minutes to get the application done. Think the last time you went and spent less than 15 minutes. She's got a customer service capability, so on weekends from 8:30 till 5 p.m. On weekdays, the customer service desk is open from 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. I come from the private sector. We're encouraging small businesses. We're providing these programs. Sometimes it's really difficult to navigate, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector. We're trying to make it simple and easy. And here we are encouraging all small businesses, whether you're certain or not that you qualify. You may qualify for all of the supports we're giving, but maybe you only qualify for 1 or 2, but every little bit helps. And so my message and our message to the small businesses of Ontario is that we'll continue to provide the support we can so that we can get through this pandemic and come out stronger.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.